Now I want to invite Robert D. Robert D. is a director of Robert D. and Associates and New Deal Europe UK. We have Robert D. together with us today thanks to email program from Swiss Embassy. And I want to say first that Robert D. is our friend. Within years, he was here with us, a few marketplace also. And as I said, Robert D. and together with Tina Moore, they're the ones that are responsible for New Deal Europe, and New Deal Europe 2020 was probably one of the few events in tourism sector that happened, and part of us from Nighttime were present over there, and we are happy for that. Now, Robert D, I want to mention for Robert D also that he is a long time in this region. He is here in this region from 1986, and he shared with many stakeholders from the tourism sector his huge experience. Now I will like him to invite him to share his advices on how to do and what to do in this totally untypical pandemic period and the post-pandemic. Robert, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Excellent. Well, let's kick off. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. That was really nice. And thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure to be in North Macedonia. It's just a shame I can't be with you in person, and I'm really sorry for that. But believe me, we're doing well with the vaccination here. And as soon as I've had my jab, I'll be on the plane and straight over to see you, I promise. So other than that introduction, I hope you read the little profile about me that was put out on the website here. It closed by saying that I've worked on projects in the Balkans, focusing on sales, brand positioning, and sustainability. So I've been asked by Vlatko today to give you an example of one of these projects and see how you can apply it in North Macedonia. And I hope that when you see what it is I have to present and the way that we told the story of this destination, you'll be able to apply the lessons that I learned and use these applications to make Macedonia an even more successful destination in years to come. Because believe me, you have everything, as you can see from the picture I've got up here to visit that I made. That's my wife there walking along the boardwalk in Lake Ohrid. We love Macedonia and we want it to be successful, and hopefully with this presentation it will give you some ideas. It builds on what Sophie was saying, because Sophie was talking there about sustainability, and she finished by saying it's really important that you market your sustainable offering. But how do you do that? And that's really what I'm here to try and tell you about today. So let's look at what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to give you a case study of a hotel in the Balkans. Apologies to those of you who saw some of this last week in the little preview session that we did. The key thing here is that the hotel had a really challenging location, but we overcame that through storytelling. And storytelling is going to be a key feature of the next panel session that's coming up in terms of digital marketing. So if we're looking at trends, in tourism, yes, sustainability is one of them, but storytelling and digital marketing is definitely another. And marketing and selling sustainability, and as I prefer to call it, responsible tourism, because as Sophie rightly said, too many people confuse sustainability with eco, the eco agenda, and it's much bigger than that, as I will show you. How do you market and sell the concept of sustainability and responsible tourism is really crucial. So I'll show you how I did that, and then hopefully you'll be able to apply all of those things in your case in North Macedonia. So let's start. It's a case study of a hotel in the Balkans. And here it is, a really beautiful hotel. I'm really proud to be associated with it. It's only a couple of years old, so relatively new. Fantastic design. Architecture is unbelievable. beautiful materials that blend in with the surrounding forest, as you can see. It really is absolutely stunning. It's called the Lyra Hotel, and it's in the region of Plitvice Lakes. Now, how are they selling this hotel? I hope you can see me on video, by the way, because I've got a few things that I want to show you. Here is a screenshot, really, of PowerPoint presentation they gave me, and it actually mirrors. I've got their brochure here. It actually mirrors their brochure. It's more or less the same thing, if you can see. And basically, they're saying they've got 58 rooms on 3 floors, zip-link beds, they've got bathrooms, they've got safes, kettles, sprinklers, beautiful views, and so on. They go on the next page. Here it is, saying what the size of the rooms are, how many of them there are, including an apartment, even what the size of the bathroom is. Now, I have no idea, I don't know if you do, if 5.68 square meters is a good size for a bathroom. I have to assume it is. But to be honest, that means nothing to me. It really doesn't. I don't even think in meters. We think in yards and feet and miles here in the UK, as they do in the USA. So it really doesn't speak to me, and it doesn't sell the hotel. What might interest me is the fact that they've got these telescopes in some of the rooms. That's kind of what they were hoping was going to be their unique selling point. But why has it got them? No mention of it. I can tell you it's because this part of Croatia is the best place where you can see the stars at night, because it's almost like a blackout destination. But anyway, that's another story. The key thing that I want to tell you is that this is the material they gave me to sell the hotel. And the hotel was struggling. And why? Because everybody says this. Who cares? Who cares about the size of the bathroom? Who cares about zip-link beds? That is not going to make me want to come to this hotel. And there are so many examples of these. I'm sure we've got many hoteliers on board here. When you look back at the brochures over the years, and maybe even when you look at your websites, you will see that principally you're selling a list of features: the number of bedrooms, how many are twin, the number of suites, the meeting spaces, and so on. They're not the things that are going to entice me as a tourist to come and stay with you. And why should I choose you over maybe 10 other hotels in your destination? But what is it that makes it different? Well, this hotel was struggling, even though it was beautiful. We had a lot of challenges with the hotel. The key challenge, I have to say, was with the location. Now, let me show you the location here. It's in the Plitvice Lakes region of Croatia. It's the second most visited attraction in Croatia after Dubrovnik. You all know it. It's beautiful. It's stunning. This shouldn't be a problem. Why was the hotel struggling? Well, let's zone in a little bit more on my Google map. The red dot there, my fingerprint, is the location of the hotel. You can see to the left of it, the dark green area is the national park. So the hotel, for a start, isn't in the national park. The yellow road that goes down from Zagreb to Split is where everybody wants to be. All the hotels are located on that yellow road, or they're in the national park. My hotel, look, you have to go down a little windy road to get to it. So it's already off the beaten track. It's on the border with Bosnia. So it's not a place that you would automatically bypass. It's additional driver time to get there. But crucially, the hotel is in this village called Ličko Petrovo Selo. Now, why is that crucial? It's because when I took this hotel and the sales material they gave me to the tour operators said, we're not going there. We don't want to stay in this hotel. And the reason was that the reason they gave me, and it shocked me, they called this village, Ličko Petrovo Selo, the ghost village. Now, I had no idea what the ghost village meant. I'd never been there. So, of course, I had to go. And I discovered that Ličko Petrovo Selo and the area around it, in Plitvice Lakes, was where the war in Croatia for Croatian independence in the 1990s, where it began. You can also see we're on the border with Bosnia. Across the border is Bihać. This was one of the 6 safe havens set up by John Major and the United Nations in the Bosnian War. So this area saw a lot of activity in the 1990s and some of the heaviest fighting. It was a to Plivice Lakes, where the Serbian community declared independence from Croatia, and the first shots fired in the war were here. So complete devastation. And when I got to the village for the first time, this is what I saw. So I saw houses with shell holes. I saw community buildings that were burnt out. And can you believe, right next door to the hotel was this building. Somebody lived here. 2 people lived here. I counted about 80 bullet holes and then I gave up. This is literally right next door to the hotel. And is it any wonder that people didn't want to come to this village? Why would you want to come here on holiday? How could I turn this around? This was probably the biggest challenge I've ever faced in terms of selling or marketing a hotel or a destination. Well, this is how we turn it around. We tell the story. And what was the story? How do we create a story from this? So here we go. So Ličko Petrovo Selo. The story of it is, it's the story of Croatia. And it's the story of Croatia through the last century. It's a village where you can feel history come alive. Now, I was really careful in the words that I chose here because people were telling me this was the ghost village. Ghost means dead to me. This wasn't a dead village. This was a village where you could genuinely feel history, and it brought it alive. And more importantly, the hotel, for me, that's really what I was selling. The hotel was a place where you can live really important values and where your stay makes a difference. How do we demonstrate all of that? I'll show you as we go through the story. But by doing this, we change the concept of the hotel from this 58-bedroom hotel to this hotel that was inhabited by these great people and who visitors want to come and meet. So the first thing was right opposite the hotel was this war memorial. And I looked at the village and said, well, how can I tell a story about this place? What is it that it offers? And yes, it was full of great people. And it also told a story that, to me, as a former Vodic, traveling around the whole of the Balkans, was important. It was important to tell, and it was a story that for many people was being passed by because it was too raw, I guess, emotionally too raw for many people. So we used some of the material in the village in order to explain really the history of the last 100 years in the entire Balkan Peninsula. Right opposite the hotel, as you can see there, is the war memorial. And next to this is the burnt out community building with a memorial attached to it. We use this to tell the story of Yugoslavia from the foundation of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia in 1918 to the invasion by the Nazis in 1941, talking then about the heroes who fought for the country. And remember, Yugoslavia was the only country that liberated itself in the Second World War. That's a really important message to get across. We looked at the atrocities that happened, the different factions that happened, which was still an issue for many people in our lifetimes. The memorial on the village wall there is to communities, regional communities in the villages around who were massacred just because of their ethnicity or because of their politics in the Second World War. And all of this gave rise to the partisan movement and the successful partisan movement in terms of dominating politics in the second half of the 21st century, which was the communist era. And luckily for us, 5 kilometers up the hill was this abandoned airfield, Jeljiva airfield. So he built this during the communist period because he needed to be safe, particularly when he broke with the Soviet Union and the Cold War was at its height. So this explains communism, the break with the Soviet Union, and the establishment of Yugoslavia as the leader of, or one of the leaders of, the non-aligned nations movement. It's on the border it's in the mountain on the border between Croatia and Bosnia. And there are minefields there. There's main minefields. So you have to go there with a local guide. But the fact that it is on the border with these minefields allows us then to talk about the breakup of Yugoslavia. And remember, just up the hill, this is where the first shots were fired, and this is the memorial to the first person who fell in the Croatian War of Independence. So we are able to bring the whole story right up to the present day. Now, all of this was in this village. How can you call this the ghost village when it has such a story to tell? It's incredible. And I don't know anywhere else in the region that was able to do this, but it was totally overlooked. And we made the story a central part of selling our hotel. But that's history. That's making history tangible. What about the sustainability? How do we get the sustainability story over? And what is the sustainability story? Well, let me start with this beautiful lady, Sonia. Sonia worked with her Serbian ladies in a community center, again, opposite the hotel, very ramshackle, very run down, as you can see on the picture. She invited people to come over and she invited me and the general manager to come over, and she gave us the traditional bread and salt welcome that you're all familiar with, but many people are not. So I started to take groups over there. They made their own bread. They brought the cheese and the meat from local farmers, and they told people about their life story, about being Serbian in this community, about having to flee when the war happened, coming back and resettling and wanting to make a life and keep their culture alive, which is what this center is all about. They make artifacts, they make good woolen materials, they do weaving, they do knitting, they make these crazy things, which I bought for 10 euros, and they invite people to take part. And of course, once people make that connection and they take part in the process and they become involved in the process, then that's when they start to buy the products. And that's when economic interchange happens and wealth starts to be generated in the community. And it was really important to us, this community engagement. It went further. The general manager in the hotel found out that one of the ladies in the village was a great cake maker, and she invited her to come into the hotel and make some cakes for an event that we had. From that grew the fact that a lot of ladies in the village obviously cook. They cooked for their families, and they cooked really traditional recipes, which I wasn't familiar with, neither was the general manager. So we invited them to come and cook more and more in the hotel. They brought with them their local recipes. We were already sourcing food locally in a very sustainable way from all the local farmers and bakers. And it was the natural extension that the ladies should come in and become the chefs and the cooks in the hotel. They're offering to you, the guest, the food that they would cook if you came into their home. It's a really powerful message of authenticity. And it goes beyond that, because as well as the food, and I'm sorry, I guess you're all hungry and I'm showing you these pictures of food here, but you know, getting on to my favorite topic, the alcohol, Riker or Slivovitz. All the people in the village make their own Slivovitz. You saw it on the previous shots with the community center. This is the Slivovitz they make. They put it in Coca-Cola bottles. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. That's the one that was given to me when I was there. And what we decided to do was organize a mass collection of all the fruits, the sliva, the plums that were in the garden and in the forest roundabout, and ask the people to take it home, make it, and bring it back to the hotel. Now, because it's homemade, we couldn't sell it, but what we could do was offer it as a welcome drink to anybody who arrived in the hotel. And instantly, therefore, when visitors arrive, they're making a connection with the local community. We offer it to them. Welcome to our community. We made this for you. And people then want to start the interaction with us automatically. Looking further, again, other elements that the general manager did, she wanted to employ people locally. It's an international standard hotel, but we didn't want to employ people from far and wide. We wanted to make this a viable economic interaction with the community. So she employed people locally. Now, some of them had worked in hospitality before, many of them hadn't. So we had to look at training and deliver training for them. It just so happens that at the end of this process, 1/3 of the staff are ethnic Croatian, 1/3 of the staff are ethnic Serbian, and 1/3 of the staff come from across the border in Bosnia from the Muslim population. So we have this great melange. And now when you look at the hotel, you're not seeing 58 bedrooms. You're not just seeing people who work here, but you're seeing a community that's coming together and fostering harmony. And now you're really starting to interact in a different way and see the story in a different way. And how can you, I mentioned when you stay with us, you make a difference. How do you make the difference? Well, we set up the house next to the hotel with 80 or more bullet holes. There it is. We paid through taking a percentage of the profits from the hotel and putting them into this foundation. We paid for the house to be restored, and that's how it now looks, completely restored. And here is the happy owner, and I'm delighted to introduce to you the very happy general manager, Andrea Cherneska there. So that's what we did in terms of sustainability, how to present that. Now, all of those pictures there I use in my PowerPoint presentation, like I'm doing with you now, to talk about the hotel to the tour operators. It makes a difference because it's my story. How do you do that when you're talking digitally and you're having to put it out in brochures or you're having to do it on the internet? So this is how we did it. So the front page of the Lyra, the landing page, the home page, it looks like this. Responsible tourism is there on the right-hand side. You click on it. It takes you to the S word, sustainability. You can go through and see more of the story. Here it is, responsible tourism. So the Lyra, no longer is it just a hotel. The Lyra is now a catalyst for change. It's regenerating a village economy. It's bringing together ethnic communities. What do? They source food locally. They give work to the local farmers and the bakers. And they're employing people from across the communities, including in Bosnia. The restoration of the neighbours' houses here. And we make it very clear, look at the last line, we're creating a brighter future for local people generated by visitors to the village. It's your visit that's making a difference to these houses which were severely damaged during the war times. We tell you about the Tara Cooperative. We'll take you over there. You can support them. We support them by selling their unique products. You can't get these anywhere else. This is unique. Come and see it and go with them on a guided tour around the village and learn about this history that I just told you about. And of course, the plum brandy, your first interaction with us, other than through this digital connection, is the Slivovitz and the story there of how we engaged all of the neighbours. So how does all this apply to you? What can you take away from this and do in North Macedonia? Well, firstly, the important thing when you're selling your story is please focus on the benefits, not the features, not the 58 rooms, the 3 floors, the size of the bathroom, but the benefits of staying in this hotel, the benefits of what you're offering. So in this case, it would be the fact that you're making a difference to a community. Think always of the WIFIM. And this, by the WIFIM, I mean, what's in it for me? And the me here is the customer, the visitor. What's in it for them? Is it important that they've got the kettles and the sprinklers? Or is it important that they get an experience, that they get something that's unique, like the Tara Cooperative products, that they have a stay that's different to anywhere else because of the great food that the local ladies prepare for you, that you get a great welcome when you arrive with the Slivovitz. Use what you have. Everything I've told you was here. It was already here in the village. It just wasn't being maximized. The capacity of it wasn't appreciated. Now, it may be that you've got lots of things like this, and because you're immersed in it, you don't see it often. So by all means, do what they do. Get somebody to come in from outside and evaluate what you've got and look at how you can package that up and tell your story. Focus on the experience. People want experiences now. This is a key trend. They want experiences. They want memories. They want it to be personal to them. They want to be able to post things on Instagram and maybe make the friends back home jealous of what it is that they're doing. Or they want to be ambassadors for you because they've really enjoyed the experience and they want to share that with people and get other people to come and have what they had. The key thing is the experience. You know, what I was showing you there with the drinking the Slivovitz, eating the food, meeting the local people, it's all based on experience. And the most important thing is it's got to be personal. It's personal to them and it's personal to you. What I've told you right now is my personal story of my visit to this destination, how the story evolved for me. And this is how I sell it to the tour operators. As a result of that, this is now the most successful hotel in the region. It's in all the brochures. Everybody wants to come and stay here and have this experience, but also give back. And giving back is really important to me here. I can tell you, as we said at the beginning, I've been in this industry for 35 years and associated with your beautiful region for that long. I'll be honest with you, most of what I've done has been very transactional. It's been about selling excursions, or it's been about signing hotel contracts. It's been about money changing hands. This project was completely different. It's where I really felt I was making a personal difference to a community and to the lives of people. It's where I really felt tourism is a power for good, and tourism is a powerful agent of change. And when it's done in a sustainable and responsible way, it can make a huge difference. And when I tell that to people, people understand completely, because it's my voice saying what my experience was, and they all want to have something similar. So there are ways in which you can do it, but the most important way is keep it personal to you. That's basically everything I have to say, unless you have some questions for me. And if you want to get in touch, there's my email too. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Robert. If we can...
Thank you.
We appreciate a lot your presentation, your presence here with us. If there are any questions, we will send them to you on email, because we run a little bit late with our panels.